Dom Fernando II Glória is a wooden-hulled, 50-gun frigate of the Portuguese Navy. She was launched in 1843 and made her maiden voyage in 1845. Built at the shipyard of Daman in the Portuguese India, it was Portugal's last sailing warship to be built and also the last ship that undertook the Carreira da Índia, a regular military line that connected Portugal to its colonies in India since the beginning of the 16th century. The ship remained in active service until 1878, when she made her last sea voyage, having travelled more than 100,000 miles, the equivalent of 5 circumnavigations of the world. After long service, it was almost destroyed by a fire in 1963, with the burned wooden hull remaining beached at the mudflats of the river Tagus for the next 29 years. Finally, in 1990, the Portuguese Navy decided to restore her to her appearance in the 1850s. During the World Exhibition of 1998, the ship remained in Lisbon as a museum ship on the dependency of the Navy Museum, being classified as an auxiliary Navy unit. Since 2008, the ship lies on the southern margin of the Tagus River in Casillas, Almada. Construction. In 1821, the Intendant of the Royal Navy of Goa, Candido José Mourão Garcés Pala, proposed to the Portuguese government the construction of a new frigate in the Portuguese colony of Daman, who possessed to the east a large forest of teakwood in Nagara Valley, considered to be an excellent wood for shipbuilding. The authorization for the construction was given in 1824 by the Portuguese King João VI. The Civil War period and the political and economical problems in Portugal delayed the construction for several times throughout the years. She was built in the shipyards of the Royal Navy Arsenal under the supervision of the naval builder engineer Gil José da Conceição. Being involved in its construction both Portuguese and Indian workers, she was finally launched in 1843 and towed to Goa for fitting out as a full-rigged ship. She was named as a tribute to the King Consort of Portugal Ferdinand II, husband of the Portuguese Queen Maria II, and to Our Lady of Glory, a figure of special devotion among the Catholic population of Goa. The frigate was noted for her spacious accommodations, a critical factor on voyages that could take 3 months or even more without an intermediate port of call service. The maiden voyage took place between the 2nd of February and the 4th of July 1845 under the command of Captain Torquato José Marques, with a crew of 145 men, connecting Goa to Lisbon. Since then it was used on several types of missions over the years, transporting military units, settlers, colonial administrators throughout the empire, and even degradados to the Portuguese colonies in Africa and India, transporting in 1852 to the Portuguese island of Madeira the Empress Consort of Brazil Amélia of Luxembourg, and her daughter Princess Maria Amélia of Brazil, who was sick with tuberculosis and was looking for a good climate to recover from her disease, dying however 5 months after the arrival. Transporting to Angola in 1854 the Portuguese explorer Antonio da Silva Porto and the 13 members of his expedition after the completion of the crossing of Africa, for the coast of Angola to the coast of Mozambique. Participation in May 1855 as flagship of a Portuguese naval force in Ambris, Angola, against a local rebellion. Participation in 1860 in the colonization of Wheeler, Angola, transporting sheep and horses from South Africa to Angola. In 1865, she replaced the sailing ship Vasco da Gama as the artillery school of the Portuguese Navy, conducting training missions up until 1878, when it completed her last training mission on sea in a voyage to the Azores Islands. In this last voyage she rescued the crew of the American bark Lawrence Boston, which had caught fire off the Azores archipelago. After this, she remained permanently moored in Lisbon as the Naval Artillery School, with significant modifications being made on her in 1889, with the replacement of her elegant masts, and the construction of two redoubts on both her sides for the placement of modern cannons, to better serve her role of artillery instruction unit. In 1938 served as the flagship of the naval forces of continental Portugal, based in the river Tagus. Fire and damage. In 1940, after being considered unfit for Navy service, it became the headquarters of the frigate Dom Fernando Welfare Institution, destined to give general education as well as teaching seamanship to underprivileged youth, up until the 3rd of April 1963. On this day, during repair work, a huge fire erupted, partially destroying the ship's hull and structure. After the fire was extinguished, the frigate was towed to an area where the navigation on the river Tagus wouldn't be disturbed, remaining abandoned and half-buried in the mudflats for the next 29 years. Reconstruction. In October 1990, the Portuguese Navy and the National Commission for the Commemoration of the Portuguese Discoveries initiated efforts in order of restoring the frigate as she was in the 1850s. On the 22nd of January 1992, the wooden hull was removed from the mudflats and set floating again, placed in a floating dock and transported to the dry dock of the Arsenal of Alfide first, and in 1993 to the rear marine shipyards in Aveiro, where it remained for the next 5 years being restored, receiving widespread public and private support. On the 27th of April 1998, the Dom Fernando II Glória was reinstated in the Portuguese Navy as an auxiliary navy unit. On the 12th of August 1998, it was delivered to the Navy Museum after being considered by decree an historical Navy ship on the 18th of July 1998. During its stay at Expo 98 that marked the 500th anniversary of the discovery of the sea route to India by Vasco da Gama, she was a major attraction, being visited by almost 900,000 people. In September 1998, the World Ship Trust awarded the Dom Fernando II Glória with the International Maritime Heritage Award, who considers her restoration as one of the most astonishing historic ship preservation achievements of our time. The International Register of Historic Ships considers the Dom Fernando II Glória as the 4th oldest armed frigate, and the 8th oldest sailing warship in the world.